in this video we will build a cabin, and it'll be fun, and we won't mind that it's snowing. So I have plans for a cabin on the website, and you can drag those into your onto your computer, and then we'll bring them into Blender and use them as tools. If you want to find your own cabin images, you can, but keep it simple. That's my advice, because there's a lot to learn and complexity is complex. So start with a simple cabin and do a plan that has a side view and a front view. It's not necessary that you have the floor plan, but side and front view will make it a lot easier. Okay, so here we are starting a new Blender, and we want to bring in our images. So let's set up our space first of all. Oh, the other thing is I've added a tool tips. So at the bottom left corner here, you can see what letter I'm pressing and what I'm doing with the mouse. So if I press the center mouse, you see the center, left is there, right is there. If I press letters, you'll see them pop up on the screen. So you can see what I'm doing just in that little box in the bottom left corner of the screen there. Hopefully that's helpful. All right, so let's start. I'm going to go to the front view. So I'm looking straight on from the front, and I'm going to go to add an image and reference. And I've got in my picture folder, scroll down here, and I've got the front view, cabin front view. And I'm going to load that. And maybe I will get the side one right from the start. So let's go to the right view directly from the side. I'm going to go add, and I'm going to go image, then reference, and then scroll down, and cabin side view, and say load reference. Okay. Why do we do it right from the side? The pictures are going to load perpendicular to what the camera is. So if you're not looking at it right from the side or right from the front, then that picture, you're going to have to change the rotation of the picture. But if you did that, you could go here, you could go N, you could go here and change the rotation of the picture, and you could do that if you want to. This just saves you a step. So okay, so now I have these two images, and the first thing I want to do is I want to make sure these images are to scale. It's always nice if you're in Blender to build something that's relatively close to the size you want, so that when you bring it into Unity, it's already the right size. So I am going to do that here, and let's start. And so if we look, I'll just move this box out of the way for a second. If we look at our image here, this here is from this line to that line is 8 feet, and 8 feet is a little over 2 meters, right? It's like 2.4 meters. So let's make this box. I'm gonna open this up here, and dimensions, let's make the Z dimension 2.4. Okay, so that's a good starting for our, and then we'll bring this back here. Okay, so now we're just using this as a little guide, and we're going to drag, I'm going to turn, no, I can leave that off. Now we can drag this up, we can scale this so that the front image is the right size, then we'll scale the other one so it's the right size, and then we'll make sure that it's all perfect. Okay, so I'm going to scale up this image. I'm going to go look at it right from the front, so I know I'm not scaling it the wrong way. Okay, scale up, and I can G. I'll keep scaling. And we want between that and that. So I can scale up a little bit more. Doesn't have to be perfect, of course. Okay, that's great. And I'm going to, let's move this back over. I'm going to put this picture, make sure that the center line is right there. Let's put the ground right where the red line is, and the center right through the center of the door. Okay, I like that. Now we've got the problem with this guy. So let's start, let's put this right from the side. Sorry. There, let's go G and Z and move it up. And let's go G and Y. And I'm just lining up so that the peak of the roof is right in the middle, so that we're scaling it. We know we're scaling it right on. And now let's scale it, letter S, move it up. G, Y again. Okay, scale again. Okay. G, Z. Okay, we could scale it back down a little bit, maybe. That's not bad. We kind of want to get as close as we can, though. Okay. Scale using scale again to scale it back down. Okay, that is pretty good. And G and Y to move the picture. Okay. I'm pretty happy with that. Those are right on the X and Y axis. The peaks of the roof are the same. The front is pointing out the front, and I like that. Okay, so I'm not going to worry about the floor plan for right now because I think it's easy enough. The floor plan makes a lot of sense if we were going to do the interior, and so if you were going to work on that, you could do that. But let's just make a empty interior, and then we'll have the outside be it's one thing. And I think I'm going to build this cabin. We want to have it so you can go in the door and look inside the cabin. So we want to make sure the cabin has an interior space as well as an outside space. Because remember, in 3D, an object by default, the sides are one-dimensional. So you can they're opaque on one side, but you can see through them from the other direction. They're like a two-way mirror. So we want to have an interior space for our cabin, but we don't need an interior space for the roof. So let's build our cabin in 3 sections. We'll have 3 objects. We'll have a roof and the porch, and we'll have a slab for the bottom, and then we'll have the cabin body itself. Okay. So there's lots of ways you could do that. You don't have to do it this way. This is just, I think, probably the simplest for us. Another trick that's really handy is now we've got these, if we were going to start trying to model with these, they're kind of in the way, right? It's like we want to be able to see the other side of that block. So the first thing we can do is we can set these pictures so that they're naturally behind. So I'm going to click on this guy, clicking on a picture. I'm going to the data tab over here on the right, and I'm saying back, and see how that pushes it back. So now I can see the whole block, right? And I can do that with this guy too, and say back. Now it's kind of this impossible space where I can see my whole cube, even though it's not, and the pictures don't disrupt it. Okay, a couple more things that we can do, and this isn't necessary, but I find it really useful, which is I like having these, if I'm looking at it right from the side, I want to be able to see the picture so I can line stuff up. But if I turn it, I find that that kind of gets in the way and can be distracting. So I want to set my images up, and you can toggle this on and off. I'm going to set my pictures up so that when I look at right from the side, I can see the picture, but as soon as I turn it, they disappear. So that way I can see it from reference from one angle or another, but that reference disappears when I'm building it. Okay, so the trick for that, click on a picture and turn off, again, I'm in the data tab, and I turn off perspective here. And let's do that with this one too. Turn off perspective. Now if I go right from the side or the front, I can see them. As soon as I turn, they disappear. So line everything up, turn it, and I can see that. And I find for my workflow that works kind of the best. Let's turn them back on just for a second. That's this guy, and this one. That's this guy. And one more thing we might want to do here is when we're working and we're trying to make this and move stuff around, and we can inadvertently click the picture in the background and then inadvertently move that around, and that would be really annoying. So one more thing we can do is we can make them so that you can't move they're locked essentially. So the trick for that, okay, first thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to name the picture. So I'm going to call it picture front, and we'll call this one picture side. Okay, just so that they're labeled. And then to set them so that you can't click on them, you have to open up these little chevrons here. Now you probably don't have yours turned on, so go under this little weird key icon there and make sure this is lit up. This little arrow chevron guy, and that will open up this column. And then if we click on these, that means we can't inadvertently, we can no longer select those. So now I click and I can't select them. Okay, I'm going to turn them back on for just a second so that I can select them, so that I can turn their perspectives off. And now I'll turn those back off. So now I go to the side, right? I can't click on the picture, but it's still back there, and it's a great reference. Okay, so that's a good start. Now let's start by building the main cube. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to treat this cabin like it's completely symmetrical, and do that, work on it that way for a while. And then if I want to add stuff that's asymmetrical to it later, I can always do that. But to start out, let's build it as if it's exactly the same on the left side as the right side, and life will be more fun. Okay, so what we have to do then is we only have to build 1/2 of our cabin, and then we'll just mirror the other side. So as we're starting to build it out, let's only build 1/2 of it, and then when we get ready, we can mirror it, and then we can see the whole thing together. Okay, so let's move this guy around here. We want it, we can put it there. I'm going to build a separate slab for the foundation. Let's look at it from the side. Okay, that's not so bad for height. And I'm going to go here and select the front face, and I'll go to the side, and I will just G and then Y to confine it that way. And I'll select this side, back to the side, G and Y, and confine it that way. Awesome. Let's look at it from the front again. And we want to select this side, and I'm going to go G and X just to slide it, and I'll put that right to that edge. Okay, so that's going to be half of our cabin for the interior. And now let's make a cut for the windows. So to do this, I'm going to turn on X-ray. It's Option Z for me. It'll be Control Z, I guess, for I'm on a Mac right now. Or it's this little guy here for turning X-ray on and off. And now I can do Command R to make a loop cut. So I'll make a loop cut at the top of the windows, top of the window and the door. I'll make another loop cut and drag down here at the bottom of the window. Let's make another loop cut this way and this way. What there looks good. Looks like this loop cut is a little low, so I'm gonna select my line tool. I'm going to option click on it and G and Z and just drag it up a little bit. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Let's look at that from the side, and let's start by doing Command R again, and we'll draw one there. Command R, we'll bring one here. R, let's make a oh, let's just leave that. Okay, I'm gonna undo. That looks good. We'll just drag this guy up. And here, Command R, and Command R again. Now we can click on just the tops of the window, and I'm going to go G and Z. Oh, I think I accidentally undid Command R. Okay, and G and Z. Oh, got something funky going on there. Okay, something funky happened. Let's go into, oops, sorry. Let's go into mode. I'm gonna click that guy and hit the letter M and merge at last. And that will merge those guys. And I think I maybe did something here too. So I'm gonna go M and merge at center. Save my mesh. I think that should be back to normal. And let's look from the side. Okay. And now let's go here. Let's see if I drag this up, what happens. G and Z. Okay. Let's do that for these guys too. Actually, here's a trick. When this problem happens, I've duplicated my mesh somehow, but they're right on top of each other. And a trick to do this is go to point select, hit the letter A for all, hit the letter M for at center, and it's going to merge. Sorry. Not at center. M and then by distance. All right, and it removed 11 vertices. So I did something when I was doing that where I duplicated a bunch of vertices, and I don't remember what it is I did. But now I'm back. That's a great trick. If you're getting that, like you click on a point, but it seems like there's another point underneath, select all your points, do M for merge, and then say by distance. And if they're right on top of each other, it'll weld them together. Okay, so we should be back to where we were. And let's go here with the line tool. And I'm going to go G and Z, bottom. And here, G and Z on the bottom there. Okay, so that looks good. So what do we want to do now? Let's make our windows, and let's extrude them out so that we have a little window pane. So let's go here, and that's going to be our window. Let's turn this off, and that's going to be our window. And we know we want to extrude, so that's the letter E. I'm just dropping them back a tiny bit. And let's go here. We know that's going to be our window, and E, and we'll just drop it back a tiny bit, just to give it slightly easier to see. Okay, and then let's look at the front of the door. We haven't made a loop cut for the door yet, so let's do that. So Command R, and here. And we actually might want to cut out. Now we could do an insert to cut out that door, but also we're going to cut off that edge anyways. So let's use the knife tool, because we haven't done the knife tool yet. So the knife tool is over here, or it's the letter K. And with the knife tool, we can cut here. So I'm going to click. If I want to do straight across, I can hold down X and it will define it there. And I'm going to go up to here. Oh, and then I'm going to go Z and go down here, all the way down there. And I'll hit return to be done. And then I'm going to do the knife tool again, and I'm going to close that guy off for the edge of the window frame, door frame, and then hit return to leave the tool. If you've clicked on the tool here, you're going to have to click on your selection tool again to get that back. If you just hit the letter K for knife, then it will automatically flip back to your selection tool. Okay, and we know our door is going to be this open separate thing. So we can go the face, select faces, and we can X and say faces, and we can get rid of the door. Okay, so we know we're going to duplicate our house, right? And so that the left side is going to be the right side. We don't want to line down the middle of our door. So let's select these guys, holding down the shift key. Oh, let me show you something about selecting too. If I had inadvertently selected those guys, I can hold down Control with my select tool and it will deselect. So Control will remove from the selection and holding down Shift will add to the selection. Okay, so I've got all those guys. And I'm going to say X, I'm going to say faces. And I'm actually going to create the interior with the bottom of the roof instead of this, I think. I can always put this back if I change my mind. Let's go right there. Okay, so there is our cabin. It's looking beautiful so far. Our windows are inset. We're going to have a slab on the floor, so we could even get rid of this guy. And even fewer faces to have to worry about. Okay. That's a awesome start. So now let's start making our roof. So I'm going to go tab out of edit mode into object mode. Make sure I'm not selecting anything. And I will add another cube. And let's put it right here. And we want to scale it on the y-axis. G and Z. How close did I get there? Oh, that is not bad. Okay. And from the front of the house, we know we want it over here. Scale it. Move it on the X. We have a problem. Oh, no, maybe we don't have a problem. Okay. And let's select this face. So tab back into edit mode. Select the face. I'm going to G and hold out X to confine it. There. Well, let's go here. And we will go G and Z and move it up. And there we go. That might not be bang on. I don't care. We'll figure that out later. This obviously isn't pitched like the roof is. It's supposed to be like that. But let's look at ways we could do that. Okay, so here we could use our fancy join tool. Because this is a really simple geometry, go back to my point select tool. I can select that point and this point and say merge, command, just M for merge, and then at center. And then I could do it with this one and merge and at center. And now if we look at it from the side, not bad, right? Okay, another trick we might want to do, probably should have done this before, but let's try and do a loop cut here. Can I loop? Oh, maybe I can't. Okay, can't loop. Okay, undo. Okay, let's do a knife tool because I forgot to make this little thing, and that's going to bug me because I want it to go to a square edge and then go up. So I need a line that sort of cuts all the way around here. And because I've made it a triangle now, the loop tool doesn't work because it wants something that's more the same on all the sides. So I'm going to use my knife tool, and I'm going to go here, and I will do the letter Y, so that's there. And then I will do the letter X on this side, so that's here. And then we'll do the letter Y on this side, click so it's there. And then I will do the letter X on this side, so it's there. And then I'll hit return, and there, it put geometry in there. Okay, and let's see now, because I'm in X-ray mode, I can just drag those two and go G, and put that there, and select those guys and G and put that there. And that's looking more reasonable. Okay, not bad. And let's, just for simplicity, let's take out, we'll leave that actually, but let's take out these faces. And we'll leave that one because we'll use that for the interior of the space. Yeah, I think that makes sense, doesn't it? I don't know. Maybe it makes sense. Let's put in, while we're here though, let's put in some lines. I think I can loop cut this. Yes, let's put in a line that's roughly here. We can always move that. And let's put another one. Huh, that's weird that it's wanting to loop cut it that way. Okay, let's just use the knife tool. And make sure it's just straight on the x-axis. Okay, that's pretty close. We can extrude that up and give ourselves a little more space in the middle if we want later on. Back to my cutting tool. I'm gonna loop cut this again, and let's do that. That way, when I want to vault that scene, should I do it now? Maybe I should do it now. Okay, let's do this guy, and G and Z. We'll pull that up, and G and Z, and pull these guys up, and Z, and pull this guy. Okay, so now we have a nice interior space. Oh, see that fun thing that's happening over there? Where it sort of looks like it's glitching out a little bit. That means we have two faces that are fighting each other. Oh, I have done something wrong. It's called a Z fight. I've got two planes on the same line. What did I do? I did something funky to screw that up. I'm gonna just undo my way out of this and see if I can figure it out. Okay. Let's see. Now if I G and Z. Okay. I need to. That's because it's going right to that edge, and it's pulling that edge up too. So maybe we should draw an interior line down here. Or maybe we should just not worry about this for right now. We'll come back to it. Okay. Sorry, getting finicky. We should be working on the outside, not the inside. So I'm going to look at my house. I'm going to look at, let's put some more loop cuts in here. So I'm gonna get the little window area, and then there's a larger sort of overhang for the porch. So I want to make sure I'm on the right tool. Loop cut to the top of the window area, so that will be the window there. And let's do another loop cut here for the porch, and then let's do another loop cut here for that porch edge. So that will pull out this will be the center, and then we'll have the porch pull out. Let's look at the front again. And I'm going to need another loop cut. Oh, do I have one there? Oh, that's funny. It didn't do it. Did it at the back, but not the front. Okay. Okay, let's use the knife tool then. That's going to go here and out to here and on the x-axis. Okay. I've got that weird cut in the, I've got a couple weird cuts now. Oh, that one sort of makes sense, but let's try getting rid of these guys. I don't think I need those, so I'm going to say X, and instead of delete, I'm going to say dissolve edge, and that will get rid of it but leave the face. I don't need this either. X and dissolve edge. I probably should have dissolve edge. Okay, probably should have just done these with the knife tool instead of trying to do it with loop cuts. Again, we're creating n-gons here, but we're not gonna do something really crazy with trying to put materials on this, and we're not obviously gonna bend it or animate it, so having some n-gons is not a big deal. Okay, so we need to build this part here with the roof going out. So let's grab that section and let's extrude it out. So the letter E and extrude, and it's pulling that piece out of the face. And what did we end up with here? Okay, so that's not so bad. So let's now go grab this line. So, all right, and let's put that where that line's supposed to be. Here, let's put it here. And then let's do the same with this line. And let's put that down there. So now we've got that problem again where I've got this line, which is this guy, and I've got this point, which is this guy. So we can select both of those. M at center is probably fine. M, merge at center, and now that's made it a piece of a part of that. And what's going to be the best way to tackle this thing? Maybe we want to slide these down, and we'll extrude another line up for the top. So if I want to move these points, I want to move them down, but I don't want to move them on the X or the Y because I want them to go along the slope. I can hit G and then G again, and it should slide them along that. Was it perfect? No. I think it's because I had them both selected. That's okay. Still a good trick to know about. All right, so let's grab the top face here and let's extrude it out. And then let's grab this guy and let's extrude that out. That's getting close. You see I'm jumping back and forth between modes. Oops. Turn my... So that's not bad. Let's, I might want to do a knife here just for my OCD. Return there, and then make these points. I'm going to select that one, and then this one, and M, and then at last. So I just made a cut in the roof so that there was some vertices there at last, so that my new roof section had something to click onto. Okay, that's looking very, very cute. How do we like it? And maybe these so that they're straight out. And obviously there's stuff that you're gonna have to make some decisions about, like this. Do I want this down here so that's flat? Maybe that looks better. At some point you give up on your source material and you just make your own. And I'm making all sorts of decisions. I'm not doing all of this detailing with the studs and everything. And you know, if I've got stuff a little bit off, that's actually just fine, right? Nobody cares. It's just there as a guide. So let's go back here. Let's put in that window. So I'll click on just on the front face. Letter I to insert. And then G to move it over. Maybe I want to scale a little bit on the Z axis to make it a little bigger. Right, and then E and extrude and bring it in a little bit. Okay, so looking good so far. Let's think about this porch. We need this section of the porch to pull out. So let's think about this. What if we extruded these out, and then extruded on the y-axis? So just hit the letter Y. Oh, it's perfect. And let's think about what that could look like. Going back to selecting just my points, grab these guys. Am I screwing it up? That's not bad, right? So let's continue this cut all the way around. So I'll grab my knife tool and let's continue this guy all the way around there. What axis is that going to be? Y? No, X. Okay. And I'll turn X-ray back on. Let's make that there. And let's see, can I use loop tool to just make another loop through that? Oh, don't need to do that. Let's go here, select, oh, sorry, go here, select these faces. Should I select these faces too? Yes, why not? I'm upside down. Okay, and let's go E. that's good. Thought that was wrong, but it's not. We could pull these down a little bit. Okay, it's perfect. I love it. So now let's start to look at it with the mirroring on, so we can see how the whole thing is looking. So let's go back. We'll do it with the bottom one first. And the mirror is a modifier. And so the modifier is under here. Add modifier. Search. Start typing in mirror if you need to, but it should pop up. And it's done it, but it's mirrored it sort of right on top of itself, right? So what it's doing is it's mirroring around the center point of the object. So we need to move the center point to the left-hand side of the object, right? So let's turn this off for a second. Center point is that little yellow dot, and we need to move it to the center, and we built this right around the center. So that little guy there is a 3D cursor, and by default it's in the center. If it's not, if you've like done this somehow and your 3D cursor's over there, you can go Shift S, and then you say cursor to world origin, and that will put it back in the center. And then right click on your object and say set origin to 3D cursor, and that will pop it back down there. And so now we could have done this with the mirror modifier on, but it's easier to see without it. Now it's going to mirror across. Now we might have this little seam here. You want to turn clipping on, so that way it doesn't turn itself inside out if something's crossing over the line. And say OK. And then we can get rid of that little gap, this little weird gap here. Let's turn that little weird gap there. Let's turn my tab. Notice how when I go into tab, I see the lines here. I can't edit this side because it's just mirrored on the other side, but that's fine. We want that. So I'm selecting the points. I can grab these points here. Oh, make sure I'm just grabbing those points, not the ones in the background. And I'm going to go G and X and just move them over, and they all line up again. And I might want to do that on this back row too. Select those guys, G and X, and scoot it over. Okay, so now that's nice. I've saved myself a little bit of trouble. And there's the interior of my cabin. I kind of still want to vault that ceiling. Why is that not working? Okay, object mode, beautiful. And now I'm back. Now let's do the same thing with this guy. Select it, right click, set origin to 3D cursor, and then add modifier and mirror, and it's over there. And the same deal here. Oops. Add the mirror modifier, tab. Here I can grab all of these guys. Now see how they're not quite all lined up, right? Let's say I've made it even worse. I've got like, that line's not perfectly straight up and down. One trick you can do to make everything that's supposed to be on a straight line. So I'm going to click on this guy. No, shift click on that guy too. So I have all the ones that are supposed to be on the same vertices. I'm going to hit S for scale. I'm going to hit X because it's going to scale on the X, and then the number 0. And that's going to line everything exactly up on top of itself. Okay, now I've done that. Oh, do that again. Scale X 0. And now I'm going to go G and X just to move them over. And I'm going to turn clipping on, and I'm going to go G. Oops. I'm going to go G and then X and then move more. Now I can't move them past that point, and that should be cleaned up. Okay. I see. What if we just moved? Now, if I want to try messing with that ceiling again of the, I want to mess with that ceiling and vault the ceiling so there's a little bit more room inside. Why don't we, but I want to do that, but I can't really see in there because it's like the house is in the way. I can always click on, go back into object mode, click on the house, just hit the letter H, and that will hide it. Now I can go back and back into my, and now I'm into the, now I can see the roof again, right? And I can even temporarily turn off, I can temporarily turn off my mirror with this, this is showing it in the window, and that I can turn that off so that it's still mirroring, but I'm not seeing it. One thing I noticed when I did that is that I've got some faces here I can get rid of, right? Oops. These guys, X and F for face. X, F for face. Still looks fine. Still looks fine. Okay. And let's try grabbing these guys. And what if I G and Z those up? Yeah, that works good. Why not? Do that for these. G and Z. Now when you walk in there, the ceiling's a little bit higher and it'll still feel comfortable. Okay. Looks good. I can turn that back on. There's my house. I can, what is it? Option H, and it will unhide everything. Object mode. Oh, I've got my archive turned on. There we go. You can also unhide and hide stuff in the collection view. What's this thing called? The outliner. Okay. So let's think about the posts, right? We've got this post on the porch. Let's look at from the right side. Let's grab. I'm gonna grab these over. Scoot them out a little bit further so we have some more post room. Notice there too, I might want to here go scale Y0. Now I know they're right up and down. Okay, well, let's see. We could make some. Actually, let's not do it that way. Let's make a here, like here, and we can go insert. So I'm just making the top of the post here. Look at it from the bottom. So we can move this over here. Here. Notice I'm like going to sides because that makes life a little easier. If I was trying to do this out of view on an angle, it would be a lot. I would screw everything up. Okay, like there. So that looks pretty nice. And I am going to select that face. And I'm going to go G, oops, not G, E to extrude. Okay, that's a little bit too small. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's scale it. So I've done that trick. I extruded. This is a time when you make duplicate faces. I extruded and then undid, but I undid the move, not the extrude. So if you look here, common mistake. If I move this, see how there's still. So at this point, just A to select all, M by distance, remove for vertices. I like doing it this way because if I've made other mistakes, it'll solve those too. Let's scale it up like that. Okay, doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, I'm going to go E to extrude down. Now I'm going to go E to extrude again, then S to scale, make it a little bit smaller, and then E to move down again. And what that did was make that little interior space there. And now I'm going to go G all the way down here, and then Z to make sure I'm not confined on the Z. I'm going to go E to extrude, S to scale, E to extrude again, and we'll go down to the slab. Okay. Now, here's a little trick we can do to make our posts exactly the same, because we want, if we look at it from the front, we've got two posts, and I could painstakingly try and make it to look the same, or we could copy it. So let's do that. So I'm going to select just the points that are part of my post, and I'm going to go under mesh. I'm going to go under vertices. I should have, hang on a second here. I'm going to go under mesh to duplicate. That's what I'm going to do. And it made a mesh over here. I can put it down. Okay. That looks great. Oops. Keep undoing instead of turning off my X-ray. Okay, so that looks good, except these points aren't tied into that roof, which could be a problem. So a bunch of ways we could solve that. I would be tempted to just do this. Take that face, delete it, right? Don't work. It's mirroring on the other side. See, it's already made those other posts, right? So now go select edges. I'm going to select that edge and do fill. F to fill. That edge, fill. That edge, that edge, fill. And then this edge, and fill. And that put it back. So there's other ways you could do that, but that one's pretty quick, so it works. Okay, beautiful. Now let's make our interior. One thing I want to do right now is just check that our insides are really inside and our outsides are really outside. So if we go under this guy here and say face orientation, so the blue is going to be opaque, and the purple we're going to be, or the orange we're going to see through, and the purple will be opaque. So that's good. Right now, if you walked into this building, you'd be able to see through the walls from the inside. So we need to make an interior space for the walls. And I think the easiest way to do that is going to be to solidify the cabin. So this is why we didn't build it all in one piece, because solidifying that roof is going to get all finicky up here and create all of this mesh that we don't need, but this guy is going to make our lives simpler. Okay, so I'm going to turn this back off, and I'm going to say add another modifier, and I'm going to say solidify. And there you can see I've given a little bit of depth. I might want to give it a tiny bit more than that, right? Maybe like there. Okay. And the other thing I want to do now is futz with the windows. I got the wrong model selected. Tab. Oh, right. It's not letting me do it because I've put that modifier on it. So it's I can select these guys. Maybe I want to pull these out just a little bit. Oh, it's not E. M. Not M. I want to select these guys. I want to G and X. Maybe that was a little bit too steep. Okay. But you see, I can't select any of that interior because that's just I just have a solidify modifier. So I need to apply that modifier. And at this point, I'm pretty happy with the way it looks. I'm going to go into object mode for a second. I'm going to select A. I am going to Shift D to duplicate, and then just put it in that right spot, and then hit the letter M without any modification. And if you don't have an archive already, do New Collection and make an archive. If you do, I'm going to say Archive, and I'm going to stick it in there. I've already got my archive hidden, so it's put a copy of it. That's the way it looks, and that's in there, and I don't have to worry about it. The other thing I want to do here, let's call this cabin. I'll call this roof. Okay. It looks beautiful. Okay, so now what we can do is go here and say, yes, I want to apply, and have to be in object mode to apply your modifiers. Yes, let's apply the mirror modifier. And yes, let's apply the solidifier modifier. And now, if I go into here, now I can see these faces. We can move them out a tiny bit. Don't want to overlap them with the face that's already there. I think that's fine. You don't necessarily have to do that step, but let's go here. G, Y. Just so that they're not looking weird sticking out in the room. Okay, and last thing, let's build that slab, which is the easiest part. As object, we'll go add mesh cube. We'll go scale on the, oops. Let's just do it this way. Go into edit mode. Grab a face from the front. Go G, Y. Face the back. G, Y. And then face on the top. Z. GZ. G, what, X? Yeah, overhang it just a little bit. GX. Okay, it's perfect. It's everything I always wanted. Let's slap some cheap materials on here. So go back into object mode. We'll make a material for the base. You can see I've already made some materials, but I'll make new ones here. We'll call it cabin. Oops, here. Cabin base, and we'll make it dark gray, right? And we'll turn this guy on so we can see it. There we go. And let's do the cabin. We'll say new. We'll call this cabin 1, cabin color. And what color do we want to make our cabin? Nice. We'll have a nice blue cabin. Okay. And oh, let's make it different than blue because the glass will make it a sickly green cabin. It'll be more rustic. There we go. And that looks great. And then let's go here, and I'll just select my windows, and I will select the panes for the window on the inside too. Select all of those. Oh, and I should have to do these guys because I didn't apply the mirror modifier already. I'll get those in a second. And let's say plus here and new, and we'll call it cabin window, and we will call that lighter blue. We can drop the alpha down a little bit, and we will say assign. And let's do these interior windows and assign those to up cabin window assign. Okay, and let's pick out our roof and material. We'll call it roof, and we'll make it red. Okay, good. And then the window pane, and we already have that color, so we can go here and we'll call it cabin glass. Oops. So that's a common mistake. We want to go back, call that roof, and then here we need to say plus, and then now we can say cabin glass and apply. And let's make those posts the same color as the cabin. I think that'll look nicer. So let's go here. What about like just those? I'll go here plus, but then here we'll say cabin 1 and assign. Oh, classy? Can't tell. All right, that's everything we wanted. Now I want to go into object mode. I'm gonna go to my here, and I'm gonna say apply my roof. I don't need to join all these. I can just select them all together when I export them. So I am going to go export this. So I'm going to select that guy, this guy, and this guy. So I have those all selected. I'm going to go File, Export, FBX. Here I'm going to say make this copy with that on. Good to get in the habit of doing that. Make sure selected objects is turned on. You could say apply transforms. And then we don't need bake animation because there's no animations. Z forward, Y up, that's good. Apply units is good. And say export FBX, and we're going to call this house. I've been making some houses, so I'm going to call mine house 2026 4. You can call yours whatever you want. And I know where I'm saving it, and I say export. I say export.